All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Comics for All. Today is Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. This is our weekly Ink and Insight segment. So today we get to have a wonderful guest, a local guest from California in the Sacramento region, Kyrun from Taurus Comics. Kyrun, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. We are a reader-centric comic channel here. So the first question we like to ask everyone is, what got you hooked into comics as a reader?
As a reader, I'd probably say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back from the 80s. I was a big fan of the cartoon series, as all of us were. But then my aunt sent me the actual comics that she found because she was living in Las Vegas at the time. And she's like, "Hey, I found these. I know you like Ninja Turtles." And I was like, "Oh my God, I can read about the Ninja Turtles." Now, she didn't realize that the Ninja Turtle comics were completely different than what the cartoon series was about at the time.
Right.
So I was getting the gritty, Ninja Turtle series. And these were reprints. These weren't the originals. But I was like, "Oh, this is cool. This is amazing." Like I knew of Batman. I knew of Superman and Spider-Man, all those. But I never read comics until I started reading the Ninja Turtles. And then that just opened the floodgates up. And then I started, picking up things like X-Men at the time was huge. I started reading a lot of the Image stuff was big. I mean, when I was maybe 10, I think 11, that's when Image started. So I was right there, ground floor, when everything started picking up, and that just molded everything that I love about comics and what I wanted comics to be like.
How far did you continue reading Ninja Turtles?
I only got those first couple issues that she sent me, only because in my area nobody was selling the Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
But I remember, I think it was Mirage Comics in the late 90s had the licensing for Ninja Turtles, and they started releasing like their version of the cartoon series, and I jumped back into that, and it just didn't feel the same. Even though it was close to the TV series, I did not get the excitement. And maybe that's just because I'd already been reading, X-Men for so long and got into Batman. And I was like, this is on a different realm. This is a different level. But then the Ninja Turtles really didn't entice me the way it did when I was like 11 years old. Now, was it the Last Ronin series that just came out?
Yeah.
That was dope. That was dope. Yeah,
I'm almost certain didn't it win like some Eisner or Ringo or at least a couple awards.
I know it won a couple of things. I just can't remember what it was, but yeah, it deserved it. Honestly, it really did. And the idea that they take the characters that we know, and you still have the same concept of what they were, but just showed what could be and what they that's just amazing. That was just a great series.
Almost like a Ninja Turtles What If, and kind of.
Yeah, and they've done a few of those. Like they've done like Ninja Turtles in the future and different realms, but this was just different than anything they've done before.
This is so true. So another kind of reader-centric question: what's something you've read yourself that didn't have to come out in the last year, but something you've read in the last year that's really stuck with you? Either indie, major, can be either or both.
Well, I mean, Saga is always one of my favorite books, and I've been reading that since day one. So, and it's Saga, unfortunately, is so inconsistent at times with the release schedule, but I'll still pick it up. Another one is Alice Lost in Wonderland. That's an indie series. Especially if you're into high adventure series, you're going to want to read that. I'm really excited for a book called Long John. It's a Long John webcomic. It's done by Dan Bethel, and he actually just finished the final volume. And I got an email that it's being shipped today. So I'm like, all right, I should get it within the next few days in the mail. I'm really excited waiting for that one.
It's exciting. That's another California creator, which is awesome. So for viewers who are meeting you for the first time, who is Kyrun in the comics world, and what is Taurus Comics all about?
Kyrun is a comic book fan. Like I said, I've been a comic book fan since I was a kid. I loved comics. I read them all the way up until I was about 20 years old, and I only stopped because I got into wrestling for a bit. And then, but comic books and wrestling are so intertwined, honestly.
Yeah, I'm thinking what Daniel Warren's do a power bomb.
Yep. And then, but I've never shied away from my love of comics. So, Taurus Comics is my love of comics and everything that's in this mind that I wanted to create as a kid and as an adult. fully fleshed out, fully generated, and in your hand for you to read. Their action, their adventure, sometimes funny, but mostly there are a lot of character in my stories. I do put action in, but I want to put a lot of the character first more than anything.
That's really important. I think a lot of readers resonate with that. So for someone who works in comics, often, like you're saying, what does a typical creative week look like for you when you're kind of juggling art, writing, maybe even a day job, and campaign management? Like you've had a Kickstarter recently. How do you manage all of that?
Well, one thing that's easy for me is that this is my day job. I've been doing this full time as a comic creator for the past 8-9 years now.
Love that.
So my typical day is I wake up, I get my kids ready for school, I drop them off, I come back, I maybe eat breakfast for myself, and then from that point, I will first start off by answering any emails that are present that I need to get to. Then I'll start doing like social media posts for the week. I actually schedule those out for the week for all my social media platforms as best as possible. And then I'll either start writing or drawing, depending on what's on the deadline. Like I just recently finished a book for a company called Hearsay Studios, and I was doing the artwork for that. So that was like maybe 6-7 hours of my day right there. Every day was just sitting at my table, drawing, maybe stopping to get lunch. And then when it was time to pick up my kids, I'd go get them, come back home, start making dinner, and then, try to spend as much time as I can with the family. And then a lot of times I would be sitting in my bed at night, either on my laptop or a drawing pad. My wife hates it, but I'm like, I got to finish this. I have deadlines, and I'm not the fastest artist out there. I am pretty quick. But sometimes you need that extra couple hours at night or in the morning. There have been plenty of times where my wife and I will be like, all right, let's go to bed. And I'll be like, oh, wait, I can't. I got deadline to finish by this week. So let me stay up till 11 midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, just finishing this so I can make sure I hit my deadline on time. Campaigning for Kickstarters is probably one of the hardest things because naturally I'm not a good salesperson. And that's what a lot of campaigns are. It's selling your product, but it's also selling yourself.
Yes.
So you have to put a lot of yourself into it and make sure people are enthusiastic and want to know about you and your book. And for me, at least, I had to plan months in advance. Before the show, we talked about I'm going to start issue 5, Assault Lightning Wielder. I've already started the campaign, the platform. I'm like building everything up right now, even though I don't plan to launch this until maybe May, June at the earliest. But I'm doing everything right now. I've already talked to my artists, so we're starting the artwork. I've already started building the Kickstarter campaign online, thinking about the rewards. So it's hard to juggle all these things at once, and sometimes you have to give and take. You have to figure out, okay, what's more important? Do I have a deadline coming up? All right, if I have a deadline, that comes first. If I don't, then let's worry about other things. So it's just a lot of balancing. And one thing about being a self-publisher and freelance is that a lot of it is self-motivation. When you have a job, you have a schedule, and your schedule tells you, okay, you work from 8 to 10 and you get a break. You got to work during those 2 hours. But as a self-publisher or as freelance, you're like, okay, I have to push myself to work, because if I sit there and scroll through TikTok or watch TV because my mind isn't focusing, I don't get paid. And so it's a lot of it is just making sure I'm just keeping up with myself.
That's understandable, and that's really almost like that self-preservation. Like you're doing what you enjoy, but you're also doing it because it also does pay the bills too.
Yeah, there are so many artists I've known that are better artists than I am, but they couldn't handle the idea of working by themselves, and they couldn't handle just staying on a schedule enough to where they had to quit this and they had to go back to doing a regular 9 to 5.
That's fair. So now we kind of delve a little bit into the origins of the Taurus Comics universe. So how do you feel like it connects with the creative team on your projects? Were people you met in person? Were they online connections? How did you meet the creative teams?
Most of my creative teams, I mean, as far as all the books are concerned, I write all the books. So everything comes through my eyes and my fingers, I guess. Half of the books that have been produced through Taurus Comics, I'm also artist on. The other half, though, are people, my artwork, my colorists. Usually, I've met them online through Facebook or through like DeviantArt, or there was a website, I don't know if it's still open, but called Pencil Jack, which I found quite a good amount of artists there. But usually I find them online. The only person that I have found not online was my letterer. Her name is Nikki Powers. She actually lives near you up by Chico.
Okay.
And we met at a convention in Chico, and she was like, "Oh, I'm a letterer. I letter comics." I was like, "Hey, I don't know anything about lettering. Like, I did it for the first few issues of my book Shaman's Destiny, but I was just slapping stuff on. I didn't know there's so much of a skill and artwork that goes to just lettering.
There is.
That when I met her and I showed her, hey, what can you do with this? She was like, oh yeah, I can bust that out easily. And she just made my words so much better. It's enhanced it so much. So outside of Nikki, everybody else I've met online. But the cool thing is I met some people online through so many parts of the globe. Like I have artists from, the Middle East. I have artists in Uruguay. I have artists in Asia. I also have artists here in America. So it's cool that I can just connect with them. That. Yeah, I connect with them through email or through a DM, just like, hey, what's up? Can you give me an update on these things? And it's so cool that I can just talk to them so easily. Sometimes the only thing that stops us is a language barrier, but I mean, we can work through that pretty easily.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of tools out there for now.
Yeah.
From a world building standpoint, kind of what connects all your characters or stories? Are they like in a one shared universe, a multiverse? Kind of how are they connected?
So right now they're part of the same universe, but none of my characters have connected. They all live in different parts of the world, as you can say. We have Ruby from Planet Oz, who's not even on Earth. She's on the planet of Oz, so she's definitely out of that realm. Right. But we have like Saw is in Oregon, and Malik from Shaman's Destiny, he's in California. And then we have Starcore, who I haven't really figured out what state he's in, but he's definitely in the United States. But he's in a fictional town of the United States. But it's cool that they're all in the same world, but they haven't been introduced to each other yet. And that's something I do plan down the line. I have a couple things I need to get established and understand as the universe sets before I can do that, but it is something I have set to go.
Yes, looking forward to that. So now we get to do a little bit of a deep dive on the character you just mentioned, Starcore. How would you sell this character to pitch it to someone who's actually never even seen the artwork? How would you pitch it?
I would pitch it to, are you a fan of Ben 10, Guyver, Darkhawk, or any type of series where the main character is finding an ultimate powered weapon? Because that's basically what this is. This is the main character. His name is Corey. He finds the ultimate weapon in the universe, and it bonds to his body. And now he's being chased by this clandestine government facility. It's funny because, especially with the times that we have now, with agencies like beating down doors, things like that, it ties into that type of mindset that this agency is out of control, overpowered, and can do whatever they want. And Corey's just trying to do what he can to survive. And that's what I've been sort of pitching it at. And I didn't think that this would happen in the world when I was creating it, but it sort of just fell into my lap like that. I was like, oh, okay, this is now life imitating my art now. Okay. But that's definitely why I'd pitch it, is this: you find the ultimate weapon, what would you do with it? And how would you use it when people are chasing after you for it?
I'm already hooked. So, and you've probably touched on it a little bit, but is there any personal experiences or ideas that sparked the character itself? And are there any particular themes they represent, like redemption, responsibility, trauma, joy, any of those?
Nothing personal, but definitely ideas of responsibility. And the idea of companionship is going to be huge in this series, because we have the main character's name is Corey. We also have his best friend's name is Diego. Diego's your super intelligent character, that sidekick type guy, but he's also Corey's best friend, and they're dealing with this whole situation hand in hand, like they're helping each other out. Corey's there for the physical aspects, but Diego's there for the mental aspect. So
Right.
there's definitely that concept of them working together and doing everything they can to help each other and survive together.
In terms of the design of Starcore, were there any influences from comics, movies, fashion, or anything kind of influencing their actual look?
Definitely. I've said this before in the past on this, not on your show, but just in general. Starcore is my love letter to Darkhawk, the Marvel character Darkhawk.
Yes.
If
Danny
you read the
Fingeroth.
series, Danny Fingeroth, great guy. Mike Manley, original artist on that. And everything that I wanted Darkhawk to sort of explore that they didn't get to. I mean, Darkhawk was 50 issues before it got canceled, plus like 2 annuals. And they touched on so many things. They touched on, the responsibility of having the Darkhawk body. They touched on how it affects the people around him, like his family and his friends. And those are all the aspects that I'm trying to touch on with Starcore also. Just how does being this powerful being and having all this responsibility affect not just you, but just, your best friend, your mom, your siblings. Like it does it. Being superhero is not just you; it affects everything around you.
Absolutely, it does. And we'll basically just do the same thing for another series you mentioned, Shaman's Destiny. Mm-hmm. So, how would you pitch Shaman's Destiny to someone who's never seen the artwork?
I would pitch it if you're into mystical series, adventure series. It's a series about a young man who's trying to find his family's connection to these magical powers while he's battling demons and otherworldly creatures. He's the last shaman on Earth, and they are supposed to be our protectors from these supernatural, but now someone's out to steal his powers, and he's just trying to unlock this mystery to figure out what's happening with it.
And is this series finished, or is it continuing, or what's the status?
So that was a 6-issue miniseries that I did. All 6 issues are done. I had plans to come back to it, but I never did just because I had so many other things happening.
That's fair.
And now I'm turning my focus on Ruby from Planet Oz, because that's going to be another 6-issue miniseries that I'm writing and drawing, just like I did for Shaman's Destiny. And at some point I want to come back to those characters. I don't know if it's going to be like a reboot of some sort or a continuation, but I definitely want to come back to that part of the world.
Excellent. And then for the main character in Shaman's Destiny, in terms of their visual appearance and their look, were there any influences or things you pulled from?
It's funny. A lot of people, when they first see it, they think it's me, and it's definitely not. But I got that so many times when I'll show people like the images of it. They're like, "Is that you?" I'm like, "No. I wish it was me. I've never been that fit. I never looked that good." Personally, the main character is named Malik after my nephew, my oldest nephew.
Shout out Chuck in the comments.
Hey, Chuck Pino, how you doing? What is my personal superpower? My personal superpower is annoying my wife to the point where she won't divorce me. Like she's on that verge of that, but I know when to hold back so she doesn't leave me. That's my personal superpower.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So now we're going to kind of delve into your writing and creative process. So when you build your villains or antagonists in your stories, what comes first for them? Powers, personality, or kind of the problem they represent for your main character?
A little bit of the problem and the powers. I want to build a villain that basically is the anti of whatever my hero or whatever my character is. So whatever my hero can't do, I want my villain to be able to do that, to just sort of be that yin and yang situation.
Yeah.
There are definitely times where you can have them be the same, like, abilities and whatnot, but I want to be able to have a villain that stands out and just can be a force against them, because you don't want your hero to just be easily overpowering them. You want to have some action. You want to show them overcoming something, and that's what I want my villains to represent.
Excellent. And then, do you actually have a favorite, villain kind of set within the Taurus universe at this time that you're currently getting to work on?
Okay, so my favorite villain I've created for Taurus Comics right now is Lunaria. She shows up one time in Saw the Light and Wilder issue 4. But I love the concept of who she is. I love her personality, and I want to be able to. She's gonna come back soon. Like I said, she only appeared for one page. She kicked ass on that one page and showed who she's supposed to be. But I definitely want to come back to her soon.
Have any side characters unexpectedly grown into leads or like spin-off ideas for new books and series?
There, nobody's spun off to its own series yet, but there is a character that was just a throwaway character. Also in Saw issue 4, his name was Club Bat. This was a parody of my friend's book named Ace Blade. And yes. I just wanted to make fun of my friend Danny Quick and his character Ace Blade in the series. And I created this character called Club Bat, which is like the opposite of his character. And people like this character Club Bat so much because he was so silly and so over the top. And he was just a guy just running around with a baseball bat, hitting people with it. And he got beat up so badly. But people enjoyed that idea that this was just somebody that was just out there trying to, save lives on his own. He didn't have powers. He didn't have abilities. He wasn't like Batman where he had like a bunch of wealth and training. He was just a normal person just saying, I can swing this bat really hard. Let me use it as a weapon. And people just enjoyed that idea. And I was like, all right, I have to bring him back and do him justice more than anything.
Makes sense. So, and kind of in your position, you're not just creating characters, you're publishing and, establishing a whole like intellectual property line in a sense. What has it being your own publisher taught you about kind of owning your characters and owning your business in that sense?
It's more than anything, it's taught me that whatever you create has value. I've 100%. Seen so many people create something and they just don't think it's worth anything or don't think it's worth their time to really focus on it. I've seen other creators just throw their ideas out online or on Facebook and then all of a sudden they look and 2 months later somebody stole their character. So even if you don't think that has value, keep it to yourself, hold on to it, and understand that even though you might not think it's worthwhile, even though you might not think there's something to it, it has value. You just have to figure out how to use it, how to cultivate it, and how to make it, better than what you think it is.
That's right. And, you often collaborate with other indie creators and brands, and you kind of, like you mentioned, crossed over with Danny Quick and Ace Blade. Do you feel like that has grown your brand and your audience over time?
I hope so, honestly. No, because that's the only reason why we do. Well, okay, that's not the only reason. The main reason why we do these crossovers, collaborations, because we want our characters to be in front of new eyes. Mm-hmm. We have these cool stories that we want to tell, but we also want to have, like you said, with Danny Quick, I want his fan base to see my characters and maybe get somebody that hasn't read Saw the Lightning Wielder or Root from Planet Oz to be interested in it. Or, we might have a cool idea, but we want people to see these characters and love them as much as we love them. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I do a crossover. Because I'm very guarded of my characters. I've been asked a lot to cross over with other companies, and I've turned it down because either it didn't feel right or their story that they had just wasn't good enough for what I wanted my characters to be in.
Yeah.
Definitely, there are times where I've missed out on opportunities of having my characters in, but it's got to be the right moment. It's got to be the right story, and hopefully when we do I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm myself and a couple of people are planning to do a crossover hopefully in 2027 it's like 5 or 6 of us, and we're hoping to get this going. But with indie community, there's so many things that can just derail publishing schedules. It's hard to do, but we're gonna work on this. We really are.
Well, especially like in your position, that's actually a question that just came to mind is, what is physical and digital distribution like, someone in your position like?
Digital for me actually is pretty easy because my website does not do any digital, which is a thumbs down to Square. Square, get your act together and allow me to send out digital files. But I handle all my digital through places like Global Comics and Gumroad. And I think you can buy it at Amazon still. I can't remember. But,
I think you can still, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I will tell people, hey, if you want digital comics, feel free to read them. And it's so easy, in that regard. I don't have to do anything. They just have to go on their phone or on a computer, sign into Global Comics or Gumroad and download it. Easy peasy. For the physical, though, that's all on me. Any book that's bought through my website at tauruscomics.com, I ship, I package, I sign, all from my little office here that you see behind me. So I'll do that at times. When I get like big orders, I'll throw on a live stream and just start packing orders and answering questions, just as I'm doing it. And sometimes that's fun. People like to see how the steps you go through to get things out. I don't know why, but people do. People enjoy those kind of things.
It's kind of like one of those like behind the scenes things that people just don't think about.
Exactly. But it's fun. It's fun because I'll throw in, like, sometimes depending on what I have available, I'll throw in like an extra sticker or a bookmark or just something as a thank you for ordering that you might not have been expecting. And just with the hopes that you check it out, you enjoy it, and you come back and get something else.
That's right. And another question that just came to mind is, how do you handle creative setbacks, either it be writer's block, artist block, a pitch doesn't go well, or an artist collaborator falls through? How do you kind of process and handle all those things?
Artist block and writer's block are something that's going to happen no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I say this all the time. If you're a writer and you're in writer's block, whatever it is that you're stuck on, skip over it and go on to what you know. Like, so if you're on a certain chapter and you're stuck on that chapter, go on to the next chapter, go on to the next section, the part that you know that you're trying to get to. That's usually what happens, is that you have A and C, but you don't know what B is. Skip over B for now. Come back to C. That's why you have your extra edits. That's why you have your redrafts, things like that. But you can always skip over it and come back. It's not going to hurt you. Artist block, the hardest thing for artist block is don't fall into that trap of, oh, I can't think of what to draw, let me hop on the internet. Because it's the ultimate distraction. It's worse than TV. It's worse than anything, playing video games. Because at least with those things, you feel like if it's a TV show, you got 30 minutes and then it stops. You're like, all right, maybe the show's over, I can go back. You hop on YouTube, you hop on TikTok, you hop on Facebook, you watch one article, one video, and just keeps going on and on. The next thing you know, it's been like 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's so bad. And we've all done it as creators. Unfortunately, I've done it. So I'll, like, when I'm drawing, I'll try to I'll have music on. And I know a lot of artists do that too. And I'll just have music on and try to just avoid social media. So often that I'll come back to social media and then all of a sudden I'll have like 8 or 9 messages that I haven't answered. And they're like, why aren't you answering? I'm like, because I'm trying to avoid you guys right now. I'm trying to focus. And, I'm not trying to be mean, but I have a job. I'm trying to do my job. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. And a question that I actually didn't even put on our schedule of questions is, one of the cool things you've gotten involved in the last couple of years is CrockerCon, which is a really cool art and comics event that happens in Sacramento. If you want to just talk about it and how you got involved.
Yeah. CrockerCon, God, we're going on edition 12 this year, I think it is.
Excellent.
I think it is. So it's the 12th year we've been doing this. It's, like you said, it's a comic convention put inside the Crocker Art Museum, which is a 100-plus-year-old museum here in downtown Sacramento. Initially, it was started by Evan Burgoon, who is also another comic creator. He had this idea of having the show inside of a Crocker Art Museum to show comic books to people who usually don't look at comic books, the art community. And this was a great way to put those two worlds together and say, hey, you like art, comics are art, you like storytelling, comics are storytelling, let's meld these together. And Evan did that as the main person for the last 9 years. And with doing that, he actually got a full-time position at the Crocker Art Museum as one of the curators or event coordinators. And that full-time job is taking his time away from doing things like the Crocker Con event. So 2 years ago, he sent out a notice to some of the vendors, and I've done had like 6 or 7 Crocker Con events as an artist, and he said, "Hey, I need help putting together Crocker Con. My duties are increasing. Can somebody help out?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can spend some time." And was it 2024? I came on and I helped him put together the event. That was more of like an assistant more than anything, just learning how an event is put together.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2025, I became more hands-on and figuring out, how to do things with it.
I'm sure it's bonkers the amount of stuff that is involved in putting it on.
Yeah, I calculated it last year, and I think I put together about 200 hours worth of work.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And that, yeah, and that's we started work last February, and the event is in September, and that's emailing creators, coordinating with the museum, coordinating with facilities, things like that. And just there's so much behind the scenes work that, as event goers, we don't even know about. And I didn't know about until I started doing this. I was like, okay, this is a lot more work than I anticipated. But it's fun because it's something different than what I'm used to. And just being able to see how, I guess this goes back to people watching me put together their orders. Seeing how things happen that I normally don't get to see is interesting. So I guess it ties into that.
And then you said it's going on for 12 years now?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's the 11th or 12th year, but I'm pretty sure it's the 12th year this year.
And you may not be able to talk much about it, but is there anything that's kind of in the planning for this year that's new and exciting or expanding upon what you've already been doing?
I'm trying to think of what we can say and what's been confirmed. I can tell you we're looking at bringing in more higher profile guests. Our goal is always to introduce the local community, as far as comic books and artwork, things like that. But we are reaching out to hire bigger name profile creators to bring them into Sacramento and to have them showcase their work and talk about their work. I'm really trying to think of like what has been confirmed that I can say for sure is happening. And right now we're still so much in the beginning stages of just planning for the year. I don't have anything for sure.
And it's 2 days, correct now?
No, it's just one day.
Still one day. Has there been discussions on expanding into a 2 day, or still kind of with the 1 day for now?
There's been discussions about it. But I think right now the 1 day works the best, only because I think the idea of having it as a 1 day allows everybody to come and see everything at one time. Compared to over 2 days, you're now running into people's schedules. It's like, well, what are their weekends like, things like that. So for right now, I think 1 day is probably going to be the best thing. And then also, it really is dependent on what the museum wants more than anything. If we get enough people where they say, hey, we have to turn away people, maybe we need to expand this to 2 days, I'm pretty sure we'll be more than willing to do that. But if I'm not mistaken, last year we got like 7,000 people to come through the doors.
Wow.
Which is an amazing amount of people. It definitely helps that it's a free event this year, just like it was last year. So people can, come by and at any point and enjoy the festivities. But we had, like last year, we had fencing demonstrations. We had the UC Davis video game orchestra out there. We had a bunch of creators from Sacramento and beyond. We had a cosplay contest. We had video games. Like I think in the past, we've had Nintendo representatives come down.
Nice.
So we try to have different things every year, but we also have that core group of people that come back every year and enjoy it. So it's definitely gonna be new things this year, but we're still gonna probably have a lot of what you remember. Did you come last year or no?
I did not get to come last year, unfortunately. I had plans to come, but my son got sick that day, so I did not get to come.
It happens, unfortunately.
It does. So, for yourself and Taurus Comics, kind of what are your plans for being at conventions and selling some of your stuff in person?
Um, Honestly, I don't have anything planned for this year yet.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure I'll probably do something for Free Comic Book Day. I'm either at Empire's Comics off of Fulton Avenue or at
Hey,
Comics and Collectibles off of Fruit Ridge. Either one of them are usually, when they have events, they usually ask me to come down there. I
a
might.
question on that actually.
Uh-huh.
What is the status of Free Comic Book Day now that Diamond no longer exists?
My understanding is Free Comic Book Day is still happening this year. The assets of that were sold with like the liquidation, so I don't know how that's working, but my understanding is this will still be happening this year.
Okay. So, what are some plans and future projects in the rest of 2026 for Taurus Comics that you can talk about?
For Taurus Comics, we're going to have Starcore issue 2 come out this year.
Yes.
We are going to have Saw the Light and Wilder issue 5 come out this year. If things work out, we might have Starcore issue 3 come out at the end of the year. I'm also currently working on the graphic novel for Ruby from Planet Oz. I've already released issue 1, but I decided I wanted this to be a full story. And like so many people know with indie comics, you can get issue 1 and you don't know when issue 2 or 3 or 4 are going to come out. So my plan right now is to focus on that as far as my artwork style or my artwork is concerned, on finishing that this year. I'm also talking with a friend of mine about some books that he's produced to see if I can bring them over to Taurus Comics and publish them myself.
Okay.
So that's in the works, but I want to see what's going on with him first on that. But possibility of expanding.
Yes, that's good news.
Yeah.
So, where can people find you and Taurus Comics online?
You can find me at tauruscomics.com, just like it says right there on my little bio. But I'm on all social media platforms at Taurus Comics. Yeah, that's all.
Excellent. So, our last question to close us out is actually kind of an oddball, but do you have a favorite snack or meal as a go-to when you need to sit down and power through some projects?
Favorite snack. So I want to say donuts, but
gosh,
I've been trying to eat. Yeah, no. I've been trying to eat healthier nowadays, so I'm like, I can't eat those anymore. Like, I'm like trying to get back in this shape and whatnot. So I'm gonna say almonds. I love eating almonds as like a quick snack. I like the texture on it, and it fills you up pretty quickly. So I'm gonna say almonds.
Salted, unsalted, any flavors?
Any of them.
Any of them. All right.
Any almonds. Yeah, any almonds is good.
Sounds like a good name for a series.
Okay, any almonds is good.
Excuse me.
Did you see that woman that got like a deal with Dr. Pepper because of her TikTok?
Yes, and they aired it as a commercial. I'm like,
yes.
What the hell? What a cool turn of events.
There you go. That's our pitch to the almond companies. We need to do this.
100%. All right. Well, Kyrun, thank you so much for coming on the channel today. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And I'm sure I would actually love to have you on whenever you feel like you want to promote something else coming up, or we can just even talk comics again. I'm totally down.
Totally down. I mean, I've been waiting for this for months now, dude. So I'm totally down to come back on whenever you can.
Fantastic. All right, everyone. Well, this has been our Ink and Insight segment on Comics for All, where comics, creativity, and community all connect. Kyrun, thank you again for taking some time out of your schedule. And everybody, we'll see you next time.